Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Media Pulse, the show where we help you make sense of Thai politics.
The week before, we talked about how the no confidence motion submitted by the opposition against Prime Minister Thaksin erupted into a war of words with the ruling Thai party. The dispute was over the duration of the no confidence debate, and so far, up to today, the dispute has not been resolved yet.
No.
And as we all remember that the opposition parties, especially the People's Party, then demanded as many as 5 days to censure the Prime Minister. But the Thai party, the core of the ruling coalition, said, no, we give you only 1 day.
Yeah, and while they were still trying to strike a compromise, a new squabble over the censure motion emerged this week. And it turned out to be a much more serious one, overshadowing all other political issues. So March 24th was tentatively has been set as the date for the censure debate, but all of a sudden, the House Speaker, Mr. Wan Mohammad Noor Mattar, said the wording of the no confidence motion needed to be revised. He said it's problematic because the name of the former Prime Minister Thaksin had to be removed from the motion or there would be no censure debate.
Take the name out or there will not be a no confidence debate.
Yeah.
That's his ultimatum. But as we reported earlier that Prime Minister Thaksin is being singled out as the only target for the censure debate.
Yes.
And in the eyes of the opposition parties, Thaksin has been running the country under the influence of her father, the former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. The opposition alleges that all major decisions or appointments made by her were dictated by her father. So the opposition has been insisting that it was therefore inevitable that the censure motion needed to mention Thaksin's name so that his role could be scrutinized.
Yeah, but the House Speaker didn't buy that argument. He insisted it was unprecedented for a no confidence debate to reference an outsider. Then the term outsiders actually refers to individuals or entities that is not present in the chamber and would not be able to defend themselves. In Speaker Wan's view, no matter how the opposition views Thaksin's role, the former Prime Minister is considered an outsider, and the House Speaker put his foot down. The opposition can forget about the no confidence debate if it doesn't remove Thaksin's name from the motion. He claimed that the House rule was on his side.
But the question is, what exactly does the House rules say about this?
Yeah.
Now, upon reviewing the relevant House rules, we found that the House rules do not explicitly prohibit reference to outsiders who are individuals or entities not present in the chamber during the debate. The House rules simply said that such references are allowed only when deemed necessary. And as far as we know, the term necessary has never been clarified.
Okay. Throughout the week, key figures of the People's Party kept insisting it was necessary to mention Thaksin in the no confidence motion, as he is known to have exerted influence over his daughter, the Prime Minister. So, the word necessary is still a question at the moment. Legislators are typically granted immunity during House meetings or debates. However, the immunity does not extend to live broadcasts of these proceedings. That means Thaksin could file charges against anyone who attacks him during the censure debate.
And the House Speaker, Kun Wan Mohammad, is afraid that he could be the first target of a libel suit, defamation
Makes
suit.
sense.
If Thaksin is angry or unhappy with whatever will be said about him during the debate.
Yeah, because he's in charge, so he doesn't want to be in trouble for that. So what does the no confidence motion exactly say to arouse such a strong reaction from Thai party and the House Speaker?
So the motion essentially accuses Thaksin of lacking the leadership, maturity and capability required for the head of the executive branch. It also alleges that she shirks responsibility and acts solely in her own interest, as well as that of her father and family. It also criticizes her for failing to govern the country effectively, particularly in addressing economic, security, and environmental issues, while allowing corruption to run rampant.
So according to the motion, Paetongtarn acts as a puppet prime minister serving at the beck and call of her father, Mr. Thaksin Shinawatra. It asserts that Thaksin is the real prime minister, wielding power without accountability.
But there is another side to the whole affair. Political observers, many of them anyway, believe that the House Speaker's objection to the wording of the no confidence motion has other motivation. They said it has more to do with his personal relationship with the former Prime Minister than anything else.
Yeah.
They believe it was these close ties between them that helped one Mohamed Noor secure his position as House Speaker in 2023.
Yeah, I remember there was those chaotic days back then when the Pheu Thai party and the Move Forward party were struggling to form a coalition. The Move Forward party at the time wanted its leader Pitha Limjaroenrat to be the Prime Minister and to also take the House Speakership at the same time. But the Pheu Thai disagreed, fearing a concentration of power in the hand of its would-be coalition partner. After much wrangling with the Move Forward, Pheu Thai succeeded in nominating Wan Muhammad as a House Speaker.
Let's get to know Kun Wan Muhammad a little bit better.
Yep.
Kun Wan Muhammad is a veteran politician, and he's the leader of Prachachat Party, which holds only 9 seats in the House. And with these 9 seats, one was in a position to be supported as House Speaker. That has always been a big question as to why he deserves such an honor, despite the fact that his party is a very small party. And all the MPs, or the 9 MPs in the party, represent constituencies in the Deep South, and which is the party's stronghold. And Kun Wan Muhammad is widely known for his close ties with Thaksin, who is undeniably the dominant figure within the Pheu Thai party. And that's why Thaksin was able to pull the strings and help Kun Wan Muhammad secure the position of the House Speaker through the support of the Pheu Thai party.
They're close. It is no surprise then that political analysts overwhelmingly believe he owes his House Speakership to Thaksin, which explains his strong inclination to protect the former Prime Minister in the upcoming censure debate.
Let's take a look at this picture. When Thaksin recently visited the South,
right,
the 81-year-old House Speaker Wan Muhammad was present to welcome him at his residence. A widely circulated photo of the Speaker demonstrating deferences to Thaksin speaks volumes about their relationship. Memes ridiculing the House Speaker immediately went viral.
This picture here, right?
That's
speaks
right.
volume. Yeah. After much wrangling and as the March 24th debate, the date approaches, the opposition parties had no choice but to give ground. After a consultation with the House Speaker, Wan Muhammad, on Thursday, leader of the People's Party, Kun Natthaphong Ruenpanyavuth, agreed to have Thaksin's name removed from the motion.
Of course, Prime Minister Paetongtarn must have heaved a big sigh of relief and immediately welcoming the move, describing it as fair. But it doesn't mean that the opposition would go soft on the former Prime Minister Thaksin. Kun Natthaphong, the leader of the People's Party, said his party will go all out in its censuring of the Prime Minister and by extension her father during the debate.
Yeah, so even after the People's Party agreed to drop Thaksin's name from the no confidence motion, it was still unable to convince the government to be more generous with the duration of the no confidence debate as well. So the war of words on the duration continues.
That's right.
Natthaphong said after 90 minutes talk, they negotiated for 90 minutes,
That's right.
an hour and a half, between the government and the opposition representatives on Thursday. They were still far from reaching an agreement on how long the debate should last. He said his party has softened its stance, reducing its initial demand for 5 days debate to censure the Prime Minister for 30 hours. But the government side remains firm in its refusal with a counter proposal of 20 hours.
Okay, no, the media see this whole thing as kind of a trade-off. We drop Thaksin's name and you be more generous with the time for the debate. But things didn't turn out the way that Kunatapong or the People's Party had expected.
Yeah.
So they agreed to sit down once again to talk about what should be the length of the censure debate. And they hope that they could strike a compromise when they meet again next week.
Yeah, but with the People's Party set to remove Thaksin's name from the motion, the next question is how the revised wording will refer to the former Prime Minister. So Kunatapong said the party has not yet decided on the new wording.
And Kun Srikanya Tansakun, the deputy leader of the party, had this to say. She said, jokingly of course, that the party has been flooded with suggestions on how best to reference Thaksin during the debate without mentioning his name. So this is what she said. Instead of mentioning Thaksin's name, we have been advised to refer to him as that person, that guy, or that man you know who.
They might be able to be more creative and borrow from Harry Potter,
That's right.
He who must not be named.
But no matter how the opposition tries to circumvent the no Thaksin protocol as agreed with the House Speaker, any reference whether as that person, that guy, or you know who, is sure to provoke protests from the Thai MPs in the chamber.
So it's no surprise that the media continues to call the former Prime Minister Thaksin the untouchable.
I say. So, but if next week Thai and the People's Parties are not able to strike a compromise on the duration of the debate, there's a likelihood that the censure debate could be postponed. And Kun Natapong, the party leader, the leader of the People's Party, suggested that if things do not turn out the way that his party expect in the talk next week, then there's a possibility that the censure debate could be moved to early April, before Songkran. Maybe.
That's the last thing they want, isn't it? Yeah, even before Thaksin will surely feature in the upcoming no confidence debate. With or without his name being openly mentioned, he has already come under the spotlight for his role related to the crisis in the South. Is he the peacemaker he claims to be, or catalyst for renewed violence? The answer depends on who you ask.
That's right. You ask a different person, you get different answer as to what exactly Thaksin's role should be in the South, or should he be playing any role at all, given the history of his involvement in the policy-making process that many people believe that contributed to the worsening of the conflicts in the region. No, a series of attacks took place in the South 3 weeks after Thaksin visited Pattani, Yala, and Narathiwat on what he described as a peace mission. Thaksin took the opportunity of his visit to apologize for what he admitted to be mistakes he made in dealing with the problems in the region while he was in power more than 20 years ago. And many see the armed attacks as a reminder of lingering grievances over Thaksin's heavy-handed policy that resulted in the deaths of many local people.
Yeah, but Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister Phumtham Wechayachai was quick to dismiss the linkage, and he described it as too premature. Phumtham insisted that the violence in the three southernmost provinces have been common during the holy month of Ramadan of Muslims. He said those who tried to put the blame on Thaksin are the people who still do not let go of the past.
Kun Phumtham did not elaborate as to what he means by some people not letting go of the past. But he is understood to be referring to a series of bloody events that hit the region under the Thaksin administration in 2004. Among them was the incident known as the Tak Bai massacre in Tak Bai district of Narathiwat, in which 7 protesters were killed when security forces cracked down on a rally in front of the Tak Bai police station. Another 78 people were suffocated to death during the transport from the rally site to an army unit. And the issue is that not a single person has been held accountable for what happened.
Yeah, Phumtham is actually in the process of overseeing a review of the government strategy in dealing with the disturbances in the Deep South. He said Thaksin, in his capacity as an advisor to the Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim as the ASEAN chair this year, is making an important contribution towards solving the crisis in the region.
No, but Angkana Nilapayjit, a senator and a well-known human rights activist, has a different view about Thaksin's role in the crisis in the South. And this is what she said. People in the South have not forgotten what happened. She was obviously referring to the Thakbai incident, which many people still put the blame on Thaksin.
Yeah, she pointed out exactly that the defendant in the Thakbai case, a former commander of the regional army unit, was an MP of Pheu Thai Party, the core of the ruling coalition government headed by Thaksin's daughter Pathongthan. But the party never tried to make him accountable for the incident. Remember, we talked about this many episodes ago, and that's still the fact. So the former general was Pisan Watanawongkiri, and he was one of the 8 defendants who went scot-free after the statute of limitations of the case expired last October on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the massacre.
Now, during his recent visit to the South, Thaksin claimed to have received a much warmer welcome from local people, and which he described it as a good sign. But Angkana said Thaksin must be deceiving himself, as people in the 3 southern provinces have never forgotten what happened in the region on Thaksin's watch.
A little bit about Kun Angkana. She's herself a Muslim and is a well-known human rights activist who has been closely following the situation in the Deep South. Her husband, Somchai Nilapayjit, was also a well-known human rights lawyer. Somchai was kidnapped by a group of men in Bangkok in 2004 after he volunteered to be a defendant's lawyer for 4 suspected separatists. Somchai has not been seen since.
Okay. All right, we have talked a lot about the father. Now let's move on to the daughter.
Yeah, the Pathongthan government is still reeling from criticisms from Western governments and human rights organizations for its repatriation of 40 Uyghurs back to China more than 2 weeks ago.
So the Pathongthan government very much hopes that flying a group of Thai journalists on a trip to Xinjiang, the autonomous region in China, next week to check on the well-being of these 40 Uyghurs could be a good PR exercise to counter these criticisms, right?
Yeah, so the journalists, the selected ones, will be accompanying Deputy Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai and Justice Minister Tawi Sot-song to meet the Uyghurs to find out how they have been treated by Chinese authorities under their return late last month.
But how these journalists are selected for the trip and how free they will be in checking the living conditions of these Uyghurs has become an issue. Kun Rangsiman Rome, an outspoken MP of the People's Party, which is the main opposition party, raised questions about the process of selecting the journalists for the trip. He said he doubted whether only pro-government media have been chosen for the trip.
The 40 Uyghurs were deported to China after more than a decade of detention in Thailand. The move was met with widespread international condemnation. Prime Minister Pathongthan Shinawatra defended the decision, claiming to have been assured by the Chinese government that the Uyghurs will be well treated.
So back on the issue of journalists being thrown to the Xinjiang, reacting to Kun Rangsiman Rome's criticisms, Kun Phumtham, the Deputy Prime Minister in charge of security, insisted that the journalists selected for the trip represented a broad range of Thai media. Among them is the National Broadcasting Services of Thailand, or better known as NBT, which he said is the only government media agency in the group. And this is what he said in defense of the selection of the journalists for the trip. It would be an insult to label these media as being pro-government, of course, with the exception of NBT.
Phumtham said, since the military aircraft will be used for the trip, it has only 20 seats, so it only can accommodate only 7 to 8 journalists. So very selected few will be chosen. The Deputy Prime Minister said that the selection of journalists for the trip was handled by the government spokesperson's office and the Defence Ministry's spokesman. So he said he had nothing to do with it, but was told that the journalists are chosen based on their organization's audience ratings. He said because of the limited space, he even had to turn down requests to join the trip by journalists whom he knows personally.
And Kun Phumtham was obviously irritated when was asked whether the journalists will have the freedom to report once they are in Xinjiang, because we all know how restricted the media in China is, right? And this is what he said: don't ask me these questions, ask your fellow journalists.
And when told the question was first raised by Rangsiman Rome of the People's Party, Phumtham had this to say: he has been asking a lot of questions. We can put up with that, but not unfounded questions. That was his response. As for how independent the Thai media can be in reporting about what they see in Xinjiang, Phumtham said, don't pass any judgment until you see how they report.
Now we have to admit that Kun Rangsiman Rome of the People's Party has become a constant irritant for the government, because he has been raising a lot of issues. Many of them are very relevant.
Exactly. So he's keeping a balance.
That's right. But of course, raising questions about the trip to Xinjiang being organized by the government certainly doesn't go down well with the Deputy Prime Minister Kun Phumtham, who has been directly responsible in defending the government decision to send back these 40 Uyghurs.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to another issue. Remember last week we talked about the phrase from Tony Blair's book. It goes like this. This book is called On Leadership, and Tony Blair wrote, this is about qualifications of government ministers. He says, governing is the one profession of importance in which a person with no qualifications, no track record, a CV devoid of content can rise to a position of extraordinary power.
And this, obviously applies perfectly to Thailand.
It just so happens that last week we saw Thai news headlines on the question of cabinet ministers' qualification as well. So, in addition to Tony Blair's statement about a good CV, in Thailand there is also the question of integrity. So let's look at these key phrases. So we have Article 160 in the Constitution, which says that the cabinet ministers must have evident integrity and professional ethics. So what does that all really mean?
Certainly, the big question is, why was the court asked to define cabinet ministers' professional ethics? Does it mean that Thai politicians have problem understand what professional ethics mean?
Well, I guess there are two reasons. One has to do with precedents from an old charter court case, and reason number two has to do with the speculation of a cabinet reshuffle. Let's look at them one by one. The first one goes all the way back to August 2024. Former Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin was dismissed from office, remember, for appointing Pichit Chunban to the PM's office minister's post because Pichit had been convicted and served a prison term in a bribery case. And that case was ruled on the basis of Article 160, which requires cabinet member to have evident integrity and professional ethics, as well as the condition that a minister must not have been a convict who served a jail term.
So as we all know, that Sethar Thavisin and his whole cabinet had to go, right? And what happened certainly served as a good reminder for Paetongtarn, who has to be very, very much more careful in appointing cabinet members.
Yeah.
Remember that back in September last year, it took her quite a long while to form a cabinet because her legal experts had to check the appointees' records to make sure that everyone was clean enough not to land her in the same trouble as her predecessor.
Yeah, exactly. So fast forward to the present, our reason number 2, the speculation of a cabinet reshuffle, which started around the beginning of this year when this government has been in office for about 3 months. So why a cabinet reshuffle now?
Though the argument, of course, the usual argument is that we need to put the right person in the right job, right?
Yeah, that's a very diplomatic answer. There can be also other unofficial reasons which are well known in Thai politics, and they range from political rivalry to the view that ministerial portfolios are used as a tool to repay political favors. Once someone's time is up, it's time to get up from the seat and make way for others. And there is also the fact that parties in the government coalition may want to swap their portfolios for more influential roles.
I think like any other countries, I mean, politics is always the issue of revolving door business, right?
Exactly.
You're here one day, that you can get kicked out the next day.
Yeah.
to open the way for others to come in.
Yeah, but whatever reasons, I think the fact that the cabinet has asked the Constitutional Court to deliberate and find clear answers to the terms of evident integrity and professional ethics are being read as a signal for a cabinet reshuffle. So this is speculated to happen after the censure debate.
All right, so. But what happened is that the Constitutional Court refused to issue a ruling on the petition.
Yeah, so it's unclear.
Because the court considered the petition to be sort of raising and hypothetical questions.
It's more of a what if.
Yeah, what if? So the court.
They're being asked to rule on a case which is not a case yet.
that's
Isn't it?
right. That's right. That's the court's argument that they cannot issue a ruling on this. And the vote was 8-1 against the petition.
So I guess there are 2 things to watch out for in Thai politics in the coming weeks. So that would be the censure debate and a cabinet reshuffle, possibly?
The cabinet reshuffle maybe not that soon. But of course the censure debate is upcoming. But the date is still debatable because the opposition and the government have yet to sit down and strike a compromise on the issue of the duration of the censure debate. As we have been reporting that the opposition, the People's Party, wants no less than 30 hours to debate against the Prime Minister. But as we have heard from the government side, the government would agree to only 20 hours, no more than that.
Yeah.
So they have to come to terms and sit down and talk it out next week. Yeah.
Do you feel that it's still a question of if or a question of when?
I think the no confidence debate is a sure thing. And the People's Party has made it very clear that whatever happens, they want the debate to go ahead. So maybe they may need to make another compromise. They did it, right, with the motion, the wording of the motion by removing the name of the former Prime Minister.
Yeah, they tried to compromise.
Right? Hoping to exchange for some kind of a generosity on the side of the government as far as the duration of the debate is concerned.
It's not happening yet. It's not happening yet. But if it does happen, things are going to get a bit more exciting, I guess,
That's right.
in Thai politics.
Okay.
So keep watching. Thank you for watching this week. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good weekend.
See you then.